Hello again, Pisces. Thank you so much for being here with me again, you guys. All right, Pisces. So you pulled it, and I hate it. But this week from Lay Vampire, you pulled Prey. Stalked, invaded, and watched. But then from Chakra Wisdom, you pulled Impatience. Now, Prey is definitely talking about somebody who is trying to bully you, who is trying to blame you for their own bad behavior, trying to push you down. And basically, it's saying that now is the time for you to stand up for yourself. But with impatience, I have to wonder if some of you are getting impatient as far as like getting rid of this person. Whoever it is, it's like preying on you, or whatever it is that's preying on you. I don't necessarily think here that you're going to make like a hasty decision here, but it is saying that, it's not the time to make any kind of a decision. But yet again, I understand it. And it may be one of those things where, for some of you, if you are dealing with a stalker, it's like getting impatient with, it being dealt with. And unfortunately, I see that a lot for people where they're having to go to court to get restraining orders, waiting for the police to do something about it, But again, this may not be the case for all of you. And I don't know that this is having anything to do with you preying on yourself. I think more so that this is an outside influence, because sometimes prey can show that somebody is like bullying themselves, but I don't think that that's it at all. Otherwise you wouldn't be impatient. So I worry a little bit. Now, impatience says your desire to create may overpower the necessity of aligning with divine timing. The time to shine will come. Move with the energy and not in front of it. Being present has its own reward. But, I feel like some of you are just, you're tired of it. You're done dealing with it. Like, get the hell out of here. All right, Pisces, here we go. Here's your overall for the week. Oh, oh no. No, no. I'm looking at him and I'm looking back at Prey going, son of a bitch. The King of Wands. So for some of you dealing with a fire sign possibly, but normally when I see the King of Wands, it can suggest that this is somebody that, there is an attraction to. Or this could be a straight up arrogant asshole. We will see how the King of Wands is playing out, but I do think that for some of you this week is going to be centered around this energy and this person. Oh boy. Oh, oh, God. Okay, so the Three of Swords is the past coming through. And I wonder if for some of you, you're dealing with this person again. And it's like they're front and center, but the past is showing that you've been through heartbreak as far as this is concerned. Like, I'm not dealing with this situation again. This immediately is what I feel like. And it's almost like, well, why the hell are you even coming back around? But the Three of Swords, heartbreak, separation, betrayal, and this is showing what you have been through with this person, right? And again, this is only going to be for some of you here. But I'm like, well, why? Why are you still the main focus? Okay. Now, in the present, the Hangman, man. And it may be just a situation where some of you just feel bound. You feel bound to this person. You feel bound to this situation. You don't know what action to take, what decisions you need to make. And it's really all about seeing the different perspective. But it could just be that I think more so that this is about you than you having to wait on another person. I think it's about you needing a minute to kind of think about things and see it differently, especially if, it's right in front of your face again, but then all you see is what's going on in the past. It's like you're not ready. You're not ready yet to make a decision. It's like you're trying to, but I almost feel like it's one of those things that you just can't release yourself from though either. Like, I almost feel like you've tried and tried and tried to see this from a different angle, but it's just not working because you still have the Three of Swords coming through. Oh boy, future conditions, the Seven of Swords. And now, and that may be the reason why you're not really willing to make a decision here with the Seven of Swords coming out. And it's like one of those things where and I've got so many different things going on. I'm sorry, guys. I just like a whole bunch of stuff like sunk in. So first of all, with pray, you know, to me, the Seven of Swords coming out on this may be a person here that has done this before. There is a reason to believe that they're doing this again. They may be doing this to somebody else here. And, you know, you may not be aware of it, but you become aware of it with the Hangman being above this. You know, the Seven of Swords, sketchy, it's low down, it's sneaky, it's, you know, I don't think that this is a situation where, you know, some of you guys are wanting to get the hell out of it. I think that, you know, you've already been out of it and it's like coming back around here. And there's like reason to believe that what they're saying may not be truthful because, you know, again, with the Seven of Swords, right, like not really revealing the way that they feel. And then you have the Page of Cups fall out too. But I almost get the sense that, you know, this person is still doing this. But then not only that, it's like there's reason to believe that it's continuing, like they will continue to do this kind of thing. Wow. All right. Your best path to follow, the Ten of Pentacles, basically look at your own security and stability, right? I don't necessarily feel like this security and stability is going to be with a situation, you know, where you're doing things here or they're doing things. Don't do anything that's going to rock the boat. You know, if you have security and stability in your life, there's no reason to get involved in this kind of stuff, you know. And I worry that some of you are tempted to like get involved with this person here. In like some of you may be trying to keep it on the down low, or, you know, they may be married. I mean, there's so many different ways to look at this, but I don't like it in terms of the Three of Swords being what kicks this off and then looking at prey. But with the Ten of Pentacles, you know, it's about your own stability and security. That is more important than, you know, whatever this person is trying to bring back through. Oh boy, and there you are. And that's why. The Queen of Cups in your environment. You're too emotionally attached. You're too emotionally involved. You know, it's not good. You still have an emotional attachment, not only to this person, but what you've been through before with this person. I don't think that they're, you know, being honest. And I think that you have tried and you are still trying here to see it from a different perspective, but then you're just met with this kind of energy again. But it's like you're stable. It's like you're stable. You don't really need this. You don't really need to have to deal with this, but yet here it is right in front of your face, you know. And I can understand because, again, when the King of Wands comes through, it's one of those people where it's like, yes, you know, super attractive. They have excellent energy. You want to be around them. But really, the hidden part that you're not seeing is that they're an arrogant asshole. I don't know what the hell is going on this week, but I am telling you, Pisces, you are not the only ones dealing with an asshole. It seems like everybody's dealing with it this week. And this is one of the first times, I think, that I've seen the King of Wands as a bad guy. You know, cheater. But I'm telling you, with the Queen of Cups being in your environment, you need to pay attention to your intuition. Look at where your emotional attachments are to this, you know, and see it differently in terms of the fact that, you know, you're not emotionally attached to this person or the pain, but you're intuitive enough to see, you know, this kind of negative energy going on. Wow. All right. Oh, Pisces. Why? Don't do that to yourself. The devil? No. Don't be sneaking around with somebody who is an asshole and they're the devil and all they're doing is causing you heartbreak. You're not going to have security and stability with this kind of a situation. And stop, like, you know, binding yourself to this. Because I'm looking at a snake, you know, with the Hangman here, like, no. And then you have the devil. I do think that some of you are going to be tempted to get involved in a situation that you know is not good. With the Seven of Swords, they're not being forthcoming. It may be a situation where you're sneaking around. You know, they may be sneaking around. And you have to stop trying to see them through a different perspective if they're just going to continue to do the same shit. Because I'm telling you, with the devil, it's not good. And you know it's not. It's like being caught up in a really toxic kind of relationship where there is just too much emotional attachment to this. It's not good. And if you're dealing with a cheater, you know, there's no point in like chaining and binding yourself to this. But like, I understand, like, I get it, but you already know what to expect here because of the Three of Swords being what's coming through. You've already been through this, you know? Oh boy. All right. You know, okay. So what you know, and I'm actually happy with it because we're talking about right now, there may be an emotional attachment. You may be too involved. But looking at the Four of Cups, when you move into this energy, it's almost like, okay, so I'm trying to see this through a different perspective, which bothers me with the Devil being there and then having the emotional attachment. But it's almost like the enlightenment that you receive is that, you know, they're a sneaky little bastard here and they're not being honest. They're being deceitful. And you've seen it before. And with the Four of Cups coming out, you're like, yeah, whatever. I'm done with this. I'm not interested. I've seen this before. I don't want nothing to do with it. Going back to the feeling with the Oracle cards and getting impatient about the situation being dealt with, right? For those of you who are dealing with a stalker, my goodness. All right, first of all, the moon. The moon and the Four of Cups, right? It can suggest that, you know, you're just kind of confused emotionally as to why did you even allow yourself to, you know, indulge in this in the first place. You know, in the moon, right, Pisces? I love the moon, but unfortunately with you guys ruling the house of confinement and self-undoing, right? The moon, you know, other than being about the subconscious mind, is really about the inner reflection. You know, and it's like seeing yourself in a situation in a distorted way, right? But, you know, I think that you're getting clarity out of the confusion, though. And, you know, even if it is in the form of the Four of Cups, where we're just like, nah, not interested, right? Then so be it. But the thing is here is you have the Hierophant and then Justice immediately after this, which, wow, right? So if they're not going to make a commitment, then fine. Right? And I do think that for some of you, you may be dealing with a person that's made commitments somewhere else and possibly they're married. And I've seen this before this week. But with Justice, right, needing things fair and balanced out, right? Like, I think it's a situation here where, you know, if you're wanting something traditional and they're not willing to give it to you, it's either a matter of, you know, them needing to get a divorce or you looking for them to correct some wrongs here and fix the situation, you know, or you're done with it. But unfortunately, I don't think that some of you are, and you know that this is not a healthy thing with the Devil being there. You know, you may have the apology for that, but, you know, if it's just going to keep happening, right, then there's no point in even seeking justice anymore. It's one of those things where you need to be done. I don't think that you're going to get the commitment that you want, you know, but again, with Justice coming out, right, things are going to be fair and balanced if you've been wronged, you know, and some of you may be seeking this. Like, you know, it almost has the feeling of like taking somebody to court and, you know, going through the divorce proceedings, right, because they're a cheating bastard. You know, but again, right, like general reading, not going to apply to everybody. But I do think that for some of you, it's just you dealing with somebody who's being really deceitful. You've dealt with them before. There is an attraction there and an emotional attachment. You know it's unhealthy, but it's like you're okay. With the Ten of Pentacles, despite whatever is going on here, it's like a reminder that not only financially are you going to be okay, but you're going to have stability in your life. So no matter what happens, you're okay. You're still on solid ground, even though in the present you may feel like you're hanging from the tree, right? And then mystery, seeing the mystery and why this shit happens, right? And not fearing the unknown, actually looking forward to what's going to be next here, even though you don't know, right? And then the moon showing up again. All right, so integration. Mind, body, and spirit going in the same direction here, and there's going to be a renewal for you. but it opens up to, you know, a mystery, a new mystery unfolding in front of you. I like it. It's not a bad thing. You know, it's like finding answers through darkness, right? Which is the moon. It is the moon. All right, guys, we're going to take a look at Whispers of Love. You guys are going to have to let me know, because I know that this isn't going to apply to everybody, but damn, man, this looks a little rough. You know, and I do think that for some of you, this is more about a situation where somebody is coming back through that's already broke your heart. And it's like they're coming back for another round here, but they're being extremely arrogant and deceitful. You know, and again, with the devil and your hopes and fears is, you know, it's a bad thing. You know it is. And it's really about whether or not you're going to chain yourself to this or release yourself from it. Because I do think that with the Queen of Cups here, there is too much of an emotional attachment. But I get it, right? Like, I get it. I understand. You know, and needing to pay attention to what your intuition is telling you here, because it's showing the devil. You know, you understand it, you see it for what it is. But it cracks me up that the Four of Cups is what's coming out. Because it's like you're looking at it going, you know, I've seen all this before, I've dealt with all this, I'm not even interested, right? Be authentic to who you are. You are asked to be real and true pertaining to who you are and how you feel, right? And then listen with your heart. You are listening to what is being said to you, but need to listen with a loving heart. So now, you know, and that goes for, I feel more so that that one is about somebody else needing to hear you. You know, I don't necessarily think that it's Pisces that is not like hearing somebody, you know, but, and the reason why I say that is the be authentic to who you are and how you feel, right? And you needing to voice that and speak about it. Well, somebody better be listening here. You know, but then again too, right, like with whatever difficulties you're facing in a relationship, right, listen with a loving heart, like actually listen to what's being said, you know. But then at the same time, it's like, well, if you're dealing with a situation here with the damn devil, I wouldn't want to listen to shit either, you know. But wow, Pisces, you know, and then if you're having, you know, difficulty as far as like even children go, because that one kind of sticks out to me with that. Like, I understand. My kids tell me all the time, you know, I know mom can hear me, but she's not listening, right? But definitely be authentic to who you are, you know. And for some of you, you may need to communicate the way that you feel about this, though, too, with the Page of Cups falling out. But, you know, again, with justice being there, I think things are going to be corrected. All right, Pisces, so I can understand the impatience here with prey and wanting this situation to be over with. Like, you've had enough of this, especially for those of you who are dealing with somebody who is stalking you. Like, that worries me a little bit. Now, the overall for this, you know, and I'm going to say it, and I should be saying it with all the readings. It's a general reading. It's not going to resonate with everybody. But I think some of you are dealing with a person here. It could be a fire sign. But, you know, when I look at the King of Wands, I see somebody who, you know, is attractive. So I think that for some of you, you see this person as attractive. And I do think that there is an emotional attachment here. And not just to this person that you're dealing with right now, but then to the pain that's attached to this, right? This person is coming through with heartbreak and separation. There's a couple of different ways that I feel about this. Now, with the Queen of Cups, I do think it is talking about you and the emotional attachment, but this could definitely be somebody else, though, too. And then looking at the Seven of Swords, it makes me wonder. Because I do think that for some of you, you're waiting for either this person to be divorced or they're married and you're not knowing about this and you're looking for this wrong to be amended. You know, but then I think that some of you already knew this about this person. But, you know, again, with the devil being here and then even with the hangman, it's like trying to see it from a different perspective, especially if they're promising that they're going to leave their partner. It's, man, I very rarely do I deal with things like this. But, you know, whoever I'm connecting with right now, this situation looks really difficult. I think you know what's going on. But I think you also know that it's a toxic situation for you. And again, with the hangman, it's like you're trying to see it from a different perspective. But then I also think that you're just straight up bound to this, right? And it's all about releasing yourself now. But I think what happens coming out of this, because of the Four of Cups, is like you've seen this before, and it's like, you know what, I'm not even gonna accept this offer because it's just junk. I've seen this stuff before. I'm not interested. I'm not going to get emotionally invested again. You know, you may be in the moment, but once that Seven of Swords starts to show up, where you realize that, you know, they're doing some sneaky low-down shit, or that they're married, it's like, no, I'm not doing it. Now, on the other hand, you know, for some of you, and with the moon being here, I mean, besides that being you, I think it might be a situation where it's like, you know, the offer comes through, but with the moon being there and then, you know, finding out other things, it's like, well, wait a minute, what the hell? This is not what I thought it was going to be, you know, and then with the Hierophant and Justice, right? Like wanting this commitment, but not getting it, and then looking for wrongs to be amended. And then this too is where I feel like, you know, they're married and they may be promising that they're going to leave their partner, possibly for some of you. But regardless of whatever the situation is, if you have somebody coming through that you have been through heartbreak and separation with before, they're just going to do the same thing over again. And I do think that the Ten of Pentacles is saying that you have a stable foundation. There's no reason to, you know, do anything that's going to cause this to become a problem. Right? Like, I feel like you're stable, you're secure, you don't really need to do this. You have your own stability and security, but I feel like this person's coming through. It's almost like a situation where you have somebody that just comes in to get what they want, and then they're gone, and then later when they get bored, they're calling you again, you know. Now, as far as the soul trees, you have integration, renewal, and mystery. So definitely the mind and the body and the soul are going in the right direction now, and there's going to be a renewal for you. But then mystery, right? Not fearing the unknown, seeing the mystery in life, and like understanding why this situation is coming back around. And like you get it now, right? And it's time for you to move forward. Now, as far as whispers of love, be authentic to who you are, yes. But listen with your heart. You know, I really think that that goes to this person here, that they really need to start listening, you know. Then on the other hand, you know, for those of you who are not even dealing with the situation, it's just a reminder here to make sure that you're actually listening, right? Like my kids say, I know mom can hear me, but she's not listening to me. But I do think that that's going to have to do with the other person, but definitely you need to be authentic to who you are. I would just, you know, for those of you who are dealing with this, clearly this is not a good situation. I would just look at this really carefully, you know, before you get too emotionally involved, more than what you already are. Because I don't think that coming out of this, that this person intends to commit at all.